Welcome to the Life Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson. A couple of clean comedians here to support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. They'll talk about highs and lows and some traumatizing shows. So get ready, get set, let's go!
Okay, welcome to the Life Support Podcast, brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network. I'm your host, June Colson, here with my amazing friends, Michele, with one L, VanDusen. Look what we discovered. We discovered what we can play peekaboo while the intro is playing. So that's, I mean,
We're
grow
like
up.
kids.
What is wrong with us?
Oh, nothing that a good host and a good guest can't fix.
This is
So
true. This
we
is
need
true.
to find a good host.
We do.
We do.
I'm gonna give you fair warning. Both of the dogs are in the room with me right now because the little dog, we know he's barely surviving right now. He has no teeth and he can barely walk and he might snore. But Reggie, the big dog, I had him in the pen, and there was a horsefly in the garage.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, he was going to rip through the pen, so his pen is on the other side of this wall in the garage. And it, like, the pictures were shaking. So I'm like, we're just gonna bring it, because I'm like that too. I'm telling you, I'm scared of bees. I'm scared of wasps, but horseflies, I think it just came straight out of the depths of hell. Like, they are Satan's bugs.
They bite, and they bite hard.
Yes, and
Like,
then they come
and they're
back. And they come back again. And then, like, when we're swimming, if one lands on your head and you go underwater, they don't drown.
It's still there. They don't even leave. Just hang on with you. Oh, yeah.
No.
Horseflies are so much fun. So today we've had spiders on me, and now you have horseflies.
And a
Excellent.
horsefly. I can't stand them. But our good friend Rhonda Corey, this summer, she bought me one of those tennis racket looking things. You know what I'm talking about? That are the BUG Zappers. Do you have one of these?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
It makes a noise and the smell. Do you get the smell yet?
I live for the smell. I stand outside, like, in the dark, especially when I don't even know what bugs are around me, and I just swing it, and it's like lightning, and I hear them fry, because I can't stand bugs. Like, it's cruel that my name is Junebug. I'm just saying. It's not right at all. Are you scared of bugs, Michele?
No, I am not scared of bugs.
None?
No. I don't like spiders. But
they're not bugs.
Snakes.
Technically, they're not bugs, right?
They're not.
So.
I don't like them. I mean, I'm not going to go around and start picking them up. When I had a garden, I had to wear gloves to take the slugs and the caterpillars off and stuff. Yeah. And I thought, I'm done gardening. I'll just, go buy my produce at the store. I don't like them, but I'm not afraid of them.
Not a fan. That song, the kid song, the Itsy Bitsy Spider, I just stopped when the spider drowned. The sun never came up in my song. He never got to go back up the spout again. And I'm like, he's dead.
He didn't actually drown in that. He just went down.
He does in my version.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
He sure does. That spider's gone. Okay. So enough about spiders. We have a fantastic guest. I just know this is going to be so much fun. So I personally have not had the pleasure, other than until just a few moments ago, to meet our guest. But I know, Michele, that you know him and you are a huge fan of his, and we are super excited. Tell us all about it. Who's on the show today, Michele VanDusen?
Okay, so our guest today has performed, like, in clubs and corporate events and churches and cruises for, like, over 38 years. Like, he's been in comedy for a long time. He's opened for, like, Louis Anderson, Kevin Nealon, and just the list goes on, right? Recently, he just taped his Dry Bar special, so that hopefully will be coming out this summer. That'll be exciting. I can't wait. I can't wait. So let's welcome to the Laugh Support Podcast my very, very funny friend, Stephen B.
Hey, how are you?
There he is.
Yes, I hate bugs too.
Oh, do you? Okay, good. But
I even have
not
this.
June bugs.
You know what this is?
I do know what that is.
This is the bug assault weapon.
It is.
It's pump action. and it loads salt in here, and then you take the safety off, and then you can shoot the little bugs off the wall.
Yes.
And when you're older, you need better aim. I have to get a scope on here, like maybe a 3-time scope, so I can shoot better because I'm missing them all the
Bug
time.
scope.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. So we used to have
I
one
got
of those. We used to have one of those at my house, but along with having that, I also have 2 boys.
there you go.
So you know what happened with the
Yep.
salt gun.
Oh, yeah.
So now I just have the tennis racket where I can zap them. And you
My
thought the boys
4
shot
boys-
each other. Actually, it was me shooting them. But
Yeah. I thought you got a taser for that. No, my 4 boys, they actually we get a lot of geckos on our window. Because if we leave the light on, then the flies go there, then the geckos get there. My kids capture whatever is out and about and bring it inside. I'm like, okay, that goes in a cage. That goes in a cage. That goes in until you take it back out, it's all going in a cage.
You got a bunch of geckos in the house. They're all trying to sell you auto insurance.
Oh, it's so
gotta be
annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Just talking.
Hey, so I've got a story for you. I'm like, shut up.
It's better than when Flo shows up. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Much better. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We got to bundle all that insurance.
Well, Stephen, our podcast is called Laugh Support. And
Yes.
Basically, we'd like to kind of dive in and find out. So first of all, we'll ask you, how long have you been doing comedy? And then we'll dive into kind of when you think back to the beginning of your career. Was there anybody who was kind of your laugh support? Was there somebody you can think of that maybe encouraged you or pointed out the fact that you were funny or, just did something to help you along the way?
Well, first off, I was a little confused about the show because I know you're from the South and you say laugh support.
Yes.
I'm thinking you're saying life support, and we were going to talk about paramedics. Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm doing comedy 38 years, a very good long time. And to be honest with you, there wasn't a lot of support for it getting going. See, I was a theater arts major in college, and I started really thinking that I wanted to try stand-up comedy, even though, I had this amazing view of what a stand-up comic did. I didn't think I'd ever become one. I thought they were much more talented than I could ever be. And so one time I gave it a shot. I did an open mic type thing, and I was booed off the stage, only because of one joke, though. I'll tell you that. It was only one joke. And then 2 nights later, I did the same show, and I left that joke off, and I won $50 first prize. And that was like my biggest lesson in stand-up comedy. That is, sometimes you die, sometimes you win, right? But I didn't have people going, you're really good, you need to do this, and here's how. The first person I ever asked about how I get into stand-up comedy was a man named A. Whitney Brown. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he was on Saturday Night Live, and he's been a comedian forever. And this is long before he was on Saturday Night Live. He was a touring comedian. So I said, well, can you give me any tips on how to do comedy? And he said, yeah, you just do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, really, I need some tips. He says, yeah, you just do it. And I thought, okay, he's blowing me off. That's what it is. You're just blowing me off, right? No, I learned years later that you just do it. And if it works, you're a comedian. And if it doesn't, go sell shoes. Lucky for me, I could do both.
Did you sell shoes, really?
I've sold everything. I've had more jobs than Mike Rowe. Trust me. I have done everything under the sun. Yeah, because, I'm a family guy first. I love comedy. I could make a full-time career of it. But if I did, I wouldn't have a family by my side. I wouldn't be married to this day, and I would have neglected my children, because that's what it takes to be a successful comedian. It's got to be about you and your career, and you got to travel all over the place,
right?
And make it about that. And I chose family first.
Wow, that's commendable, because a lot of people don't, and they end up losing their family, or they end up becoming compromised while they're on the road. So that's really, really great that you chose your family over that.
Well, honestly, it was one of those things where I kind of learned what was important by watching my wife and who she was. And that's what changed my approach to life, because
Mm.
prior to her, I was all about me. It was
Mhm.
nothing but me, my act, my show, my life,
Mm.
because I thought I deserved more than I actually did, because I had a tough childhood. And basically, I was just a real narcissistic whiner. And then I met her and I learned what love was about. And that changed
Mm.
everything for me. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that actually would bring us really to the next question. When you did, because I know you just said like when you first started out, there really wasn't anyone there for you, but it sounds like because you were paying attention to your family, that your wife was a support for you.
Mhm.
Oh, my
Um,
wife is my biggest fan. She'll always support me in everything. The only problem is she's not a real good judge of comedy, because she
Mm.
loves me so much. She thinks everything I say is funny,
Yes.
So,
That's great.
She's been lying to you. No,
no, she means it. She's just
Yeah.
an easy mark, she's a shill, she's
Yes.
my own personal shill. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, how many kids do you have?
I have 97.
97
And
children. That's awesome.
well, I was on the road for a long time.
Right.
And no, I have 3 children. Okay. And they're all boys. My oldest is going to be 30. Oh my gosh. This
Wow.
July.
Ooh.
And my twins are going to be 29 in November. Yeah.
Oh
wow.
my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all boys. So all of
All
us,
boys.
Michelle has 4 boys. You have boys. I have 2 boys.
Yeah.
Tell you
Michelle
what.
wins. She wins. She had
Yeah,
4. Yeah.
she had, or does she? But does she really win? Like,
No, not
Well,
at all.
let's see. For
Yeah.
Father's Day, they, including the husband, they all went out to Colorado to go climb mountains or something. So yeah, I think
Wow,
I'm
what
winning on this.
fun. Yeah, you are winning
Mhm.
on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah. In
good.
fact, but my husband's so sweet. He still got me dinner. He had pizza delivered. I'm like, oh, thank you. So
So
Yep.
he had pizza delivered to you
To me,
for his
yeah.
Father's Day weekend because he's not home, and you get pizza and a quiet house.
That's a good
No,
deal.
I don't have a quiet house though, because I do have another man child here.
Okay.
My son who just graduated college, he has some buddies, and so because his buddy got displaced for the weekend, he's like, "Can he stay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll trade him Michael for a Michael." So I have another Michael in my house, but he's actually
Nice.
staying in his room. So yeah,
That comes with the territory, though. With boys, I think boys
Yeah.
just come with more boys. Like
Yeah.
my youngest son Trey, when he walks through the door, we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4 more, 5, 6. Babe, how many? 9 for dinner. Okay.
I used to
Okay.
I used to do a joke about that. I did.
Oh, really?
And I used to go up on stage when my kids were younger and say, "Yeah, I've got children. I got 3 boys. I got 3 of my own. I got 2 of somebody else's. I don't even know where they
Yes.
came from.
No,
They
you
came for
know.
a sleepover and they never went home.
Yes.
Right. When I
Yes.
run out of food, I'm sure I'll find out where they go. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, so we talked about like who was supportive to you starting out. You've obviously had a long career, an opportunity to be exposed to other comedians, and also for people to spend time with you. You said there wasn't a lot of support starting out for you.
No, not starting out. No, it took years until I found somebody who was so connected with what I was doing and appreciated it, that we began talking back and forth about the industry and learning it. He has about 10 years more in the industry than me, and he was a help later on, but it wasn't until like 10 years into it. Yeah.
Which I
Wow.
think sometimes a blessing and a curse, right?
Well, it was great for me. Yeah.
You're learning the hard way, but then, so you appreciate the walk and the work that other people are having to do, right?
Well, June, let me clear it up, and I want to be completely honest about this and not cast any aspersions like, oh, poor me, I had to do it all by myself.
Right, yeah.
I wasn't probably going to be receptive to anybody trying to help me at that time, because I wasn't that guy yet. I was still very much inside my own head. So it was good that it took a good 10 years of learning the business on my own before I really started learning about how to be a decent human as well. I burned a lot of bridges growing in, to this business.
Yeah.
I really did. And that's the humility that comes with Christ. And I'll be honest right off the bat, if not for the faith that I watched my wife live, I probably would not have been able to grow to that point. But with comedy, Chicago Steve Barkley was a big influence on me. In fact, he was the guy that, here's a good story. Okay. So we move out from New Jersey in 1977. My mother gets this job at a company called Raychem on the peninsula in the Bay Area. And I'm just, I don't know anybody. I'm new in the area. She has me come to one of these big company parties. Well, the lead entertainment was Maria Muldaur. Do you know who she is? She's a singer from the 70s. Okay.
No.
And opening for Maria Muldaur was this guy, Chicago Steve Barkley, a comedian. I'm like, all right, I'll go watch. And I watched him, and I was like, 5 minutes into his act, I'm like, oh, I can do this. This guy is like me. He's just like me. He and I are so much alike. It's crazy, right? And so I waited till after a show. I walked up to him. I said, hey, the Chicago Steve, my name is Steve Boringer. This is a show. I loved it. It's something. He's like, yeah, okay. And he walks away, and he blows me off. Well, he ends up 10 years later being my best friend in comedy, and we're still friends to this day. Yeah. I just went to his 70th birthday, and he's been in the business more than 45 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he lives out by you out in LA, or?
No, I live actually Northern California near Sacramento, and he lives north of me in the hills of Yuba County. So it's probably about 2 hours from here, but we're in touch all the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you were just talking about, you weren't the man until Christ came in and it helped you,
Right.
which is really all about kind of in this book that you wrote, isn't it?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do talk about that a little bit in that book. I'm surprised you still have it. I don't want to brag about the book. I truly don't, because, okay, all right, I've sold about 50 copies, and I know it's a lot.
Wow.
But, yeah, I know. I'm telling you, it didn't.
You
take
can
off
still
because
buy
people
it.
Don't. Yeah,
Yes.
you can.
Yeah,
You can still buy it
purchase
on Amazon. Just FYI.
And you know the weird thing is, do you see what year that was published?
No.
Now, this is a podcast. You keep holding it up, Michelle. What's the
No,
name of the book?
I'm looking on here. No, I
It's
don't.
down
I
below,
don't.
The Road to Selfdom. Okay.
Oh,
that-
yeah. The Road to Selfdom.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
the first page is where they usually put that the publishing date, the original
2015.
2015. It is now
Yep.
2021, and everything I write in there about what is happening in our culture and our society has come true.
Wow.
In that, and I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That I was so drilled in. The scripture actually revealed the differences and what the things we really need to pay attention to. So, it was very interesting. I don't know if that book was for anyone but me, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Writing it really shaped my understanding of the Bible in ways that I had never experienced before. It was awesome. Yeah.
I think it's definitely not a waste of time. I'm kind of in a journey right now where I spent a couple of years writing a book, and it's very reflective of my, it's reflecting back on my childhood and, just living in a home with mental illness and alcoholism and a lot of things, but it's a lot of actually really funny stories. Right. And for a long time, I was like, God, who's this for? Who's going to read this? And as I got through writing it, it was so healing for me, and it opened my eyes, and it's allowed me to love my parents even more. So, I am kind of in that, like, what if only one copy sells? Well, what if? Because it's changed my relationship and
good for
and
you,
my
and that's what you
viewpoint
wrote
and-
it for. Yeah, good
Yeah.
for you.
I'll buy it. So
Michelle
you
is going to
already
be
have
the one.
So
she's going to buy the
you're
one copy.
welcome.
But obviously, okay, so we see
That's
that, we see spiritually you've evolved, emotionally you've evolved. As far as
my
your
looks
have evolved,
completely devolved. I'm old. I'm losing my hair.
It's that Richard Gere. You got that salt and pepper Richard Gere thing going on.
I have everything about Richard Gere except the good looks. Yes, and the fame and the money. So we're a lot alike.
Yeah.
And the name.
Have you found that an opportunity to be somebody's laugh support? I mean, starting out, you weren't necessarily able to do that, but have you? Yeah. So tell us about that. Who have you been able to pour into?
This is, I'm not going to mention names because,
right. That's okay.
Because you know what? I let them do that. And I have recently, let me tell you one of the most gratifying moments I've had in stand-up comedy. I was at a local stand-up comedy club called Laughs Unlimited in Old Sacramento, and there was a Christmas party. And there were about 3 or 4 young and up and coming successful comedians who I had helped as they were coming up and mentored and kind of talked to them about, working clean and the business and all this. And, I didn't know it took. And each one of them came up to me and thanked me. And they said they wouldn't be there where they were today if not for what I told them and how I helped them. And I still get kind of chills over that. That's amazing. I had no idea I had that influence on them. And yet they, to this day, are grateful for that. So I'm always open to mentoring anyone. If anybody says, someday I'd like to try stand-up comedy, I go, here's my card. Call me. I'll help you put together 5 minutes. We'll get you up on stage. You might be great at it, and you never know. The one thing I do bring to the party, and the only thing I will, I think your dog said it succinctly. What I bring is a lot of noise. And no, what I bring to the party is 38 years of experience of making mistakes and learning the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things. Stagecraft, understanding how to connect with a crowd, understanding how to manage the time, to block your act. These things come over a long period of time. And those things I wish somebody had told me as I was coming up, a lot of these things. So I'm open to tell anybody about them. It's, to me, that I'm more passionate about that. I even have a little section on my website for people booking rooms and how to set up a room, because I know what works, and it is a formula. Comedy's a magical thing. It really is.
Now, have you ever thought about writing a workshop or a book along those lines where you're divulging all the comedy insights that you know?
No, what I want to do is I want to get together with my friend Chicago Steve Barkley and do a podcast and do that. That is one of the things I want to do. The book I'm writing now is a novel. I have a very good start on this novel. It's nothing to do with comedy. It's complete adventure with a undertone of the way I see what's going on in the world, without being political, put it that way. And I'm enjoying it. I read what I wrote and I went, did I write that? Holy smokes, that's pretty good. That's kind of fun. Yeah.
That's neat. Now, have you, from when you first started to where you are now, have you changed the way that you do your comedy? Because I know that you have a couple of really rapid fire, fantastic bits. Like the food one, and then the is it a football game or a basketball game? What was it? Football. Yeah, like they're just just boom, boom, boom. They just hit you like that. Have you always done your comedy like that? Or
yes.
Yes,
I've always been a pounder. I go up and a punchline story, punchline story, and because I see comedy like this, you get a laugh, then you get the next laugh, and then you get the next laugh, then you get the big laugh, and you wait till they're almost done laughing, and you hit them with another smaller, and you just keep climbing the ladder. That's what I envision when I write an act. And so I've always enjoyed that style. And I think I got that style from watching, comics coming up. While kids were playing wiffle ball in the street, I was watching Merv Griffin shows and watching comedians, on daytime TV. And so I loved that. I was a student of the craft. I really was. What's changed over the years is I don't swear on stage. I don't do anything vulgar. When I started out, everybody starts out that way because you don't have a real good punchline, so you throw in an expletive. It was the 80s. I was a different human being, and I did that, and I don't need that anymore, so I don't do it. Every once in a while, I write a very funny joke that has an S word in it or something, and I think, gosh, I wish I could do that on stage because that's a funny joke, But I just give those to other comics. It's not something that I want to do on stage because I have an audience that wants clean material, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Nice. So when you think back at, just along the way, is there anybody who gave you a piece of advice that maybe you've carried throughout your career, or you would give to someone else right now if they were going to start doing comedy?
No, nobody gave me any advice like that. I learned it on my own. And if I were to give anybody advice, it would depend on where they are in the process, because you've done comedy, you understand it's a process. It's a process from putting your first 5 minutes together, from standing on stage and doing an open mic, and then learning what that experience is like, being able to come back after you die on stage, right? And still want to do it without fear, maybe a little nervousness, right? And keep it's that desire. You have to have it. And the people who think, oh, it was a horrible experience, I'm never doing it again. Good. You don't belong here. That's cool. It's not for everybody, right? Yeah. So what I tell comics is based on what they know and where they are in the process. I'm writing a list of rules. It's sort of like Leroy Gibbs from what is it? What's that show? For goodness sakes, it's been on forever. Not CSI, but NCIS. Gibbs has these rules. Well, I think there's rules of comedy, and rule number one is have fun. It's not just a good idea; it's a business plan. Because if you're not having fun on stage, they're not having fun in the audience. And you have to, the very first thing you have to do is get to a point when you're on stage that you're having fun. Because the minute you stop having fun, they sense it. And they're going to stop having fun. They're going to go, uh-oh.
That's good.
Yeah, that's number one. Number two is if you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it. And so these are the first two things that I would tell every comic. Number one, you have to have fun. If you're not having fun, you're not going to be successful. Number two, if you don't believe what's coming out of your mouth, they're not going to believe it. Even if what's coming out of your mouth is a complete fabrication, because it's a joke. You got to sell it like you believe it. Because if you don't believe it, they're never going to believe it. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Where were you when I first started? Oh, that's right. You were there. I didn't listen.
Yeah, I was over here.
Yeah. It is nice though when you can start to settle in and have a good time because I remember comedians telling me that they're like, you just have fun, June, just go have fun. And I'm like, but I'm scared to death.
You feel like your head's on fire. Have fun. No.
Oh my!
Her hair was on fire once.
He must have seen my act because I actually do a bit where my husband and I on our first date, he was a smoker and he asked me if I smoked and I was like, heck yeah, I smoke, but I didn't. And so I tried to pretend and I flicked a cigarette out the window, but this was the 80s and my hair was filled with Aquanet.
Aquanet.
It blew back in and got stuck in my bangs and I caught my head on fire on our first dates.
Well, that Aquanet, that's like whoosh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was so when you said that, I thought, oh man, maybe he's seen my act.
It reminds me of a joke I did when I was an opening act many, many years ago. Aquanet. That sounds like something Jacques Cousteau would carry. We catch the fishies in the Aquanet. Yeah. And then we placed them in the final net. Because that was another hairspray back then.
Oh yes, that was
in the 80s. All the girls were wearing the satellite dish haircut in the front, with the big poof up front.
Yeah. We would take a pick, pull it out, spray it with Aquanet, then just blow dry it until it was concrete, and you could ride a motorcycle and your hair wouldn't move. It was
I had big hair. I did too,
I missed all of that. I was riding horses, so I had a helmet on my head all those years.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So I think the other advice I would give to any comic coming up is once you're established and you're getting paid gigs and you go to open mics and you see somebody who's really struggling, offer advice, help them out, because there's room for everybody. The biggest problem in stand-up comedy, and this has been career-wise, is that people are highly competitive with other comedians when the only person you should be competing against is yourself, because you can't compete with someone else. You're not them. They're not you.
Yeah.
And if they're getting gigs and you're not, it's not because they're a better comic. It's because they're doing something that you're not. Maybe you need to write more. Maybe you need to be better at networking. You know, never compete with. There's room for everybody.
Wow, that's so good.
That is
so good.
I love that. I remember the first time that I did a comedy club, and when I got finished, one of the comedians come over and they were like, "There's room for you, June. There's so much room for you."
There you go.
And I was just overwhelmed by it. You know, just having someone established confirm, you know, what you're doing and to tell you there's room. It's that's awesome. I love that. I love that you say that, because it can be a lonely journey. It can be harsh, and having somebody just to say a kind word to you in that journey is pretty huge. Michele VanDusen, I am so glad that you grabbed Stephen B and talked to me coming on here. What do you say, Michele? We need to have him back, like, I don't know, 10, 12,
like a lot,
13 more times.
Anytime, really. I'd be more than happy to talk about the craft of comedy. It is a passion of mine. It's one of the things I love for many reasons. I didn't even get into that. Sometime, if you do have me back, I'll explain to you why comedy is so important to me and how it kind of saved my life. And the reverence in the way I approach the craft of comedy. I wish I were a better writer these days. I'm working on bits, and I'm so distracted with other things, other responsibilities. I wish I could work on them the way it was in the 80s. It's the biggest change has been in the 80s. You could do a guest set at a different room every night in the Bay Area. You never had to leave the Bay Area. There were so many rooms to do open mics and guest sets and pop in and out. And now, you know, it's once every 2 months you get to go to a place and try new material. It's just not enough. You need that repetition. The more stage time, the better you get. It's like machinery. You know, when I come off this year of COVID, the worst part was the first show, because it's like a lawnmower that's been sitting there all year. And man, it takes a lot of tugs to get it going. But once you're going and it's lubed up and everything's good, one pull every time. And I'm starting to get back to that point now. I had a show last night. It went very well. I still dropped like 10 minutes of material because I couldn't remember it. Because I'm not up and running yet. Yeah.
But you're back at it though. So that's what matters right now, for sure. For sure.
It sounds like you need to come spend at least a week or two in Tulsa, because downtown they have every night at a different spot. There's mics. Yeah.
That's awesome. I wish I could, but you know, one of the reasons that I'm not a full-time comedian and I do have a day job is because I need to stay home with my wife. There's health issues. I need to stay. The only way I'd go on the road is if she were by my side, and I wouldn't put her through that. Living in hotel to hotel. Yeah, I like it, but you know, I'm weird.
You need to get a big RV and just Stephen B. Here again.
Stephen B. RV. There it is. There it is. But it sounds like Stephen, we circled right back around to what seems to be at your core is your faith and your family.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the only thing that really matters, right?
Yeah. Well, man, I wish we had more time, but looks like it's about that time to roll out of here. But Stephen, thank you so much for being with us. Michele had your podcast or your website down here at the bottom. Is there anything that you'd like to promote? Anything else before we sign off of here?
No.
Okay.
No, because there's nothing.
StephenB.net.
I just, my gigs are, all the dates I'm working are on my website. I'm pretty much off social media until my Dry Bar special gets released, and I'm going to dump everything there. And social media is so toxic these days. All I want to do is talk about comedy anyway. So
yes. Well, that Dry Bar, definitely be looking for that. What's the name of your Dry Bar? What's your specialty?
We haven't gotten there yet.
No name yet.
Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait to find out what it's going to be.
Well, if
Michele says it's funny.
Michele said it's funny. That would be a great one. That'll be
Michele
a great one.
likes it. Yeah.
Well, Stephen, thank you again for being here with us today. That wraps up another episode of Laugh Support. I'm June Colson. Remember, Jesus and Junebug loves you. This is my great friend,
Michele VanDusen.
And this has been another episode of
Laugh Support. Thanks for listening. Laugh support.
Laugh, y'all.
Laugh
support.
Laugh. All right. So we're out. Almost. End.
We're getting there. We're getting and